The real question today is, would you fuck a mermaid? No, I'm not kidding, and also, that puts a whole new meaning to getting crabs. I'm so sorry. I'm Matt Kaustik, and this is your spoiler-free spotlight. I will absolutely try to not make any more fish-related sex jokes. I promise. But I will say, this is a pretty serious movie despite all the jokes, and this is going to be a spoiler-free overview of it, so at the end, you'll still be able to watch the movie and be completely shocked and surprised as I was. But let's absolutely dive right into this. Son of a bitch, I just did it. The setting is early 1910s. A young officer gets dropped off on a rock in the Atlantic to log weather for the year. The island has two features: a lighthouse and no neighbors. The keeper is grumpy, mysterious, and clearly not going to host game night. After sunset, the vibe switches from this peaceful internship to why is everything banging on the walls? Now, our guy learns fast that lamps matter, doors need bracing, and sleep is now a hobby, not a requirement. Now, the younger guy and the keeper reluctantly form this kind of like tag team, odd couple sitcom, but basically a lot of their friendship is just howling wind. They don't really like each other, but teamwork is better than the alternative. Let's just say that. Mornings basically become repairing your base after it's been attacked in a open world survival game. Okay, like they're gathering supplies, they're rebuilding their house. That is their daytime activity. Now, our weather guy doesn't actually end up being that scientific, and in fact, his journals, measurements, patterns, and all this kind of stuff just kind of fall to the wayside because it gets interrupted by this cute "here's more chaos" vibe. That's something you have to pay attention to. The movie is kind of got this set pattern where night times for attacking, daytimes for rebuilding, and anything in between. It's just sometimes awkward silence, sometimes weird fish stuff. Now, people did complain about the pacing in the middle and where the story starts to fall off, and there's a bunch of weird jump cuts. So that could be something to consider when, wanting to see this movie. But I will say, as long as those few things don't bother you, it is a pretty cohesive story. It just might get a little tiring after the first few days of it. Now, there are some big twists and there are some big consequences to what goes on in this story. And like I said, this is spoiler free, but you'll definitely be getting that we might actually pull this off thing from this movie. But just a fair warning, not everything goes as planned. I feel like if you like moody survival tales and period vibes and that whole lighthouse, dark humor, dark comedy kind of theme, even though this isn't a comedy, there are a few scenes of levity. There is a lot of pacing stuff in the middle where you go, like it's not wall-to-wall action. If that's what you're looking for, this maybe isn't the movie. So this would identify more with like Lovecraft people who love isolation and survival stuff, like other, lighthouse films, period adventures and horror crossovers. If you're one of those slow burn kind of people and you're just waiting for those big twists, I think that you can like this, especially if you love low budget, more low budget stuff. Now, this was made with $8 million, but $8 million nowadays isn't crazy. But they did shoot on location, they did use practical effects, and it's hit or miss, but mostly I feel like the practical effects were fantastic. It was the CGI that some people had a problem with. Now, I've kind of told you, like, the people that would enjoy this film, but the people who probably will not enjoy this film is adrenaline junkies who want wall-to-wall action. This is not one of those big action movies where they're fighting something and it's just, you know, an ongoing just action sequence. You know, it's not John Wick, right? It's not the John Wick of Mermaid Tales. And if you like everything being absolutely spelled out for you, like you don't like any loose ends or loopholes or anything, this movie will annoy you. It does do a good job of explaining what it explains, but it leaves some stuff open-ended, and there are a few loopholes that are to be desired. Now, if you want extreme brutality or constant close-ups of, like, the creatures, you won't necessarily like this. There are close-ups, but this is not your, you know, gore, grindhouse kind of movie. This is more of a, you know, fish meets boy, boy fucks fish kind of story. I'm so sorry. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and clarify for the people who didn't like the film. I'm going to just explain a couple things without giving away too much. Some of the complaints were that it's repetitive, and what that means is they introduce some exciting stuff in the story, but they tend to revisit it. And it has a dramatically less effect the more times they revisit it, and it's less shocking. And it's more to the point where it's like, are they trying to fill some like time, or are they actually trying to tell a story, right? Some of the other stuff was the slow pacing. I don't particularly mind slow pacing in my films as long as we're getting to a plot point that I feel like it's going to be worth it, right? But I know that some people are just like, okay, bro, like move it along, move it along. If you're one of those people, this was a complaint. Now, the spotty FX, like I told you before, the CGI is something that people had a problem with. They didn't quite like how it turned out. And some people even complained about muffled dialogue. They didn't quite understand what some of the characters are saying, or maybe wasn't really communicated very well what they were talking about in some scenes, which does leave stuff open to interpretation. There's also some character logic issues in this, so how characters should act versus how they do act, you know, given like, oh, this is a science guy, like, you know, or, you know, this guy's supposed to be this way, but he acts completely different. And a lot of that, people noticed. Let's just say that. Now, one of the biggest gripes about the entire film was that the second half kind of loses the point that they were going for the whole time. So about in the middle of the film, you'll start to feel that fatigue that I was talking about. But if you're someone who likes genuinely more drawn out things, or stuff that doesn't necessarily tell you every single little thing or explain every single little thing, you're going to find this movie to have a lot of like wonder and mystery and those kind of things. Now, I will warn you, I have made a lot of jokes about the fussy. And the problem with the fussy is it's honestly, it's in a lot of the film, okay? The biggest reason that this movie got bad reviews is fussy is everywhere, okay? And I know I'm saying fussy a lot, and I said I wouldn't joke, but I'm not joking when I tell you this. Sometimes there are scenes like in Splice where this shit kind of happens, and it's like a one and done. There's a lot. There's a lot of fussy. So, if you can put up with that and deal with that and move forward with that, and it doesn't really bother you, then I would say watch the film. Now, if you like this spoiler-free spotlight, YouTube thinks you'll either like this or you'll like that. One of these videos is going to be the review of this movie that will include spoilers, so you could actually know what you're walking into. And the other one, YouTube just thinks you'll like it.